So when I turned the big 7-0, I decided that I wanted to have a legacy because, when I'm gone, I hope it will continue. Since I was 9 years old in Grenada, I started to get the children from the village where I lived, and I would teach them what I learned in my little school. I was 9 years old. I went to St. Joseph's Convent, but quite a few of them were not able to go to school. So I would gather them when I had summer, and I would have summer school. And then at the end, I would dress them up. My mom would make nice clothes for them. We would invite the parents, and they would parade up and down in their nice clothes at the end. Never knew it was a fashion show I was doing. Needless to say, when I came to Canada and saw what they were doing, I said, oh my God, I used to do that, and you get money for doing that? So that's how Montreal Ebony Models started, because I did it with the same kids here in my school I went to Darcy McGee High School. So it's not even here anymore, gee whiz. So it's been a long time, and I really wanted to do this for the kids in Montreal. But I know that there's 100 different programs for kids who are not doing well, kids who are disenfranchised, kids. So I said, what about the kids that are doing well? Nobody does a support for the kids who are doing well. So I said, I want to help the kids that are doing well so that they do not fall through the cracks. Because when they have no support, no mentoring, because, they're doing well, we don't need to do anything with them, that's when, we can have a problem. So what I did was I said, okay, I wanted to help the kids that are doing well in order that we can have really great Black adults in our community. So we targeted the kids. Most of them are on the honor roll. Most of them have very good marks. The principals of the schools were the ones that selected the kids. So, and then we had a selection committee that went through. We had 9 applicants because it was really rush because Bank of Montreal, who is our sponsor, wanted this done right away. So we had to just step up. Adrian downstairs, who's at the door, she was really a very good support because we called all the schools. We selected 11 schools in Montreal. Unfortunately, only 5 schools responded, right, Toya? Yeah, only 5 schools responded, and we were really because we selected the kids, the schools that had a predominantly Black population. So I don't understand why we couldn't get, 22 kids. But we got 9, and they were fabulous. So it was really hard for us to decide. We had only money for 3 scholarships. Hopefully in the future we'll have more. And we had money. So it was a very, very hard decision. So I said, okay, so we're gonna give $1,500 each to these 3 kids. What about the other 6 kids? Can't just let them go away because they're doing so well, they're so fantastic, they deserve the scholarship also. So we decide to form the Circle of Excellence and bring them all in, get them all mentored. The Bank of Montreal is going to be here today also, and they are going to be offering training and employment for all those 9 kids.
I notice we have some guests here from the Bank of Montreal.
No. Oh yeah.
Yes, hi. Sorry, you guys come in. I was just wondering if you guys want to take a few minutes and come up. I'd like to introduce you to Fatia Sanaji, the National Director of Strategy and Growth, Industry and Customer Programs at the Bank of Montreal, and Hasna Kadari, Relationship Manager for Black Entrepreneurs.
It's okay.
Okay, so I'm very happy to be here. Always for Gemma, we're very happy. BM was very happy to be associated with the Playmas Association, especially with the creation of the Gemstar Scholarship Program. We're so proud, so happy, especially with our Black Entrepreneurs Program. As you know, I'm the champion for this program for the community, and we're very, very excited to be able to help many Black-owned businesses to grow and to thrive. And today we're happy also to offer a mentorship program with Gemma for the students that are here. We'll be with my colleague Jean Winter, who will be here later. So I'm here today. I will be happy to, if you have any questions and if you have any family members, friends that they need help to be supported in their businesses, I'll be more than happy to assist them. So this program was actually launched in February of this year. And so far we are very happy with the success of the program. We were able to help many Black-owned businesses to either launch their business or to grow their business, or even entrepreneurs who have the idea but they don't know how to actually go with their projects. We are here to support them. We have also a partner that help us to support them in very educational also resources, because we find that education, financial education is very important. Not only to help them in gaining access to capital, but also for educational in finance. And also we have partners that help them, let's say, to reestablish their credit bureau score, to be able not only to have capital for businesses, but also maybe to buy a house. So we have all type of resources that we have available for our entrepreneurs. And it's been 15 years that I work for Bank of Montreal. So, and then Fatia is here. She's the National Industry and Program Manager for Nationwide. And we've been involved with Gemma since the beginning, and we're so grateful for her, because without her, many things could not be able to accomplish. Thank you so much. And we're very happy to be here. So,
That's great. So what I do when I go into a new class, I get you to stand up. You have 3 seconds to say your name and something that you like with the beginning of your first name. For example, my name is Latoya. I like lying down, or I like some type of food. I can't think of a food that starts with
Lying
L.
down?
Lying down. Are you ready?
Yeah.
3 seconds. Go.
Hello, my name is Princeton. I like
No.
Panthers.
It's
Just Princeton and
his
Panthers?
name and whatever you like.
Okay. Princeton Panthers.
Next.
Kenny, Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Next.
Jackie Jeans.
Next. Gemma, you're out.
Gemma,
J Juice. J Juice, go.
Joan Juju Beans.
Alicia Eggs.
Go.
Carolyn Shoes. Kendra Kool-Aid.
City Motorcycles.
Tracy Tetris.
Out.
Joshua Jesus.
Aki avocados.
Back.
Princeton Pineapple.
Oh my God.
Pineapples, yeah.
Out.
Our next speaker is Patrick Abelard. Patrick Abelard is a bilingual professional theater graduate of Dawson College. He graduated in 2015 and has been working in the industry almost full-time ever since. Some of his acting credits include Tales from the Hood 3, produced by Spike Lee, Bellevue, a Canadian TV show, and The Detectives. You will be able to catch him in an upcoming film titled We Are Zombies.
Ooh.
Patrick Abelard.
All right. How's everybody doing today?
Great.
Good, great. My mom Caroline Telemac is the one who asked me, and Gemma, who I've known since I was a little baby, have asked me to come here today and do a bit of speaking on motivation. I assume some of that is due to the difficulty that my career entails, and so I have had to be very perseverant in my life, and so maybe some of my testimony or my experiences will be useful to you guys in terms of how you motivate yourselves to get to your objectives. I guess I can start by talking a bit about myself. I think what I'd like to do is just talk a bit. I don't really want to talk too much about myself, but and then maybe we can have a question period and we can make it more interactive. I think that'd be more interesting and useful for everyone. Yeah, I guess if I talk a bit about myself, you know, I'm a young man from LaSalle, young black boy from Montreal, born and raised. I didn't always want to be an actor. You know, my parents put me in private school most of my life, if not my entire life, honestly. So, you know, coming from an immigrant family, the objectives or the destinations were more around the lines of being a lawyer, being a doctor, being an accountant, you know, right? You know, engineer. Sorry, yeah, I was like, I forgot one. Right, engineer. The engineer and lawyer were the things that I was gravitating towards. Those are more along the lines of the interests that I have. Doctor's not for me. Accountant is not for me. No offense, you know, accounting is great. I love my accountant. Great guy. But yeah, I guess eventually through high school, I had certain conversations with friends about where I should orient myself with the rest of my life. And somebody talked to me about the professional theater program. I've always been, you know, a class clown, big personality, young man, very loud. You could hear me coming from across the school kind of thing. So, you know, that was kind of the area that felt most natural to me. But through conversations with friends and especially with my mom, I was ushered into what I believe was more of my purpose, you know, more of like my thing. And I remember one of the conversations that my mother and I had was that I was a young black man in a very white world, that I was not going to be given anything, that I was going to have to earn everything, that I was going to have to work twice as hard just to prove that I was worthy. And so that was the mindset with which I went into acquiring or achieving some of my goals. So I went to Dawson for 3 years. Those were the best and the hardest years of my life. You know, there were dark times in terms of just being far away from my family. My parents live in Terrebonne now. I had to move to Montreal so I could be closer to school, so I wouldn't have to commute 3 hours a day just to go back and forth. You know, the situations weren't simple. They weren't easy. I was living with my aunt. That was a household that was sometimes a little complicated, you know, everybody has a family, so you know what I mean. And I had to navigate those waters. I had to stay focused, you know, I had to be on top of my game. I had to believe in myself mostly. I think the biggest lesson I learned transitioning from high school into CEGEP, and what really helped me, was just figuring out who I really was, you know, what I really wanted out of life. And that changed over the years, you know, from 17 to 27 now. That really changed and evolved. But I think what I'm trying to get at with all of this, with what I'm talking about really is simply that for me, perseverance is a choice that you make for yourself. You know, things that motivate me are my family, you know, buying my mom a house eventually, you know, providing my family with what I believe to call heaven on earth. I don't think heaven and hell happen after death. I think they're right here. And so my purpose now is to create that heaven for my family as best as I can, given the sacrifices that were made to allow me to be the person that I am today. I think something that really, really, really changed my life was being of service. You know, a lot of people in the acting industry are considered to be very narcissistic, very selfish. I did not want to be a part of that narrative. I wanted to be not opposite, because I don't think being opposite is a good way to go about things. I wanted to just be me. I wanted to usher in a different breath to this job, you know. So being of service was something that really, really helped me sort of divest myself from my ego and invest into my community, invest into the youth, invest into my job in a full-hearted way. And that really helps me with my perseverance and my determination. You know, not being so bogged down with, this is about me and what am I going to say and what am I going to do. It's really like, how can I be most of service to the story? How can I be most of service to the characters that I'm representing? How can I be of most of service to my industry, to the people around me? So I would say that was something that really helped me and really unlocked me in the last couple of years to acquire, I think, a lot more success, especially in the last 2 years. Perseverance. I mean, I saw a TED Talk on what determines success, and one of the biggest factors was grit. And I think that's something that I was equipped with within my household from my parents, and observing them. You know, these are two people who immigrated here. My mother, a little younger, right, Mom? 14, and my father around 17. My mom had the chance to be with her whole family. You know, 4 girls total, a mother, a father, together still. So that was a blessing. And then they had to build from scratch in a very racist Quebec. You know, my aunts had rocks thrown at them from neighbors, dogs sicked after them, that sort of thing. Those were things that inspired me for perseverance. My father came here at 17. He had to help his entire family immigrate to Quebec, actually. At 17 years old, he was living with a lady who abused him financially. And you know, he has 5 brothers and sisters. There's 6 siblings, plus his mother that he helped bring all the way here. Those were things that helped me with my perseverance. Those were big motivational factors for me in terms of just giving back, in terms of just not being, there is no option that is failure. There was no option for me that was failure. It felt as though too much had been invested and sacrificed for me to be a waste of space, you know, to just fall through the cracks, essentially. So seeing my family and my parents work as hard as they did, my entire family, my aunts, my uncles, build something real and be Black families that people can be proud of, that people can be inspired by, gave me a lot of wind under my wings to be better, to do great things. At this point in my career, I'm a very happy, very decently successful young man, you know. I think a lot of that is due to l'encadrement que j'ai reçu. Like, my mom is the one who really pushed me to follow my dreams. I recognize that's not something that a lot of young Black people have, just young people in general, whether they be Caucasian or whatever it is, you know, Asians. A lot of families don't believe in the arts as a means of being financially sovereign or financially realized, you know. People think that you have to go through conventional things like studying and jobs, and I studied, you know, to have what I have, but I do not have a university degree. So I think, sort of to conclude, and then we can maybe have a conversation about what I discussed. If anybody has anything they want to say, they have their own testimony, I'd love to have that conversation. But I think to conclude, what I'd like to impart through this speech is really just, you have to find your own motivators, you know. They have to be very real for you, and they will change over time, you know, and they can become children eventually. It can be a financial objective that you have. It could be to do something for your community, for your family. But if you have purpose, and that purpose is beyond you, chances are it'll be a lot harder to fail, and it'll be a lot harder to buckle and to fall on the knee and say, I can't do this anymore, because it's bigger than you.
Wonderful. Yeah, if anybody has questions or, yes, ma'am.
I love what she was saying. I love the fact that you encourage intrinsic motivation, because it is what drives us, what keeps us, and it's all about being consistent and persevering. So that's really important to succeed. If all of your friends decide that they're not going to go to college, is that your motivation for going to college? And if that's your motivation for going to college, you're going to soon drop out, right? So what I wanted to know is if we can hear from our 2 young Circle of Excellence attendees, what do you feel that's missing from the community in terms of support, or because we saw from our guest Patrick how important community was and a foundation of good values and what he saw. What do you feel is missing from you around you? What type of support would you have liked, or what do you need to go further to excel? If you want to think about it. I find that because a lot of times we make these events and we think we know what they want, right? We think we know what, exactly.
Of course.
But we have to ask them, like, what can we give you that will help you to succeed? Like, we can bring mentors, we can do all these things.
I can talk here for hours
Yeah.
about my life, but essentially this is why I wanted to make it interactive. I think what's most important for me and where I feel I'll be actually useful to you is if you have things that you genuinely feel that you might need or that you want to get off your chest, that we can talk about as a community in terms of how can we bring those things to the front for you guys or whatever it may be, really.
And there are a lot of people here in the community. There's a teacher in college. What you say can help her at a board meeting at college. That could help change something. There are psychologists here. Maybe she will be able to talk to her other psychologist friends. Like these are the conversations that would be helpful to these children at school. There are so many people here that could actually make a change for your future. So we would love to hear from you guys.
I have something to say that I would like you to share with them your psychology when it comes to yourself and how you run your business.
Oh, sure.
I find that very important because when you told me that, I thought it was such a haha moment for me, and I would like you to share that.
Okay. Well, then it'll give you guys time to think about this very because I can tell that both of you are like, I don't know. So think about it, because I don't want to just take over your time for the speech, right? But take your time and think about it, right? We'll circle back if you guys don't mind, and I'll just talk about this. Yes, I guess my perspective on my job has always been that it is a business that I'm creating and that I am the product that I sell. So that entails that my entire life has changed from that perspective. A lot of people I went to school with, they think they want to be actors, they have the dream of being an actor, they have an idea of what it means. In practice, they are not spending the time to discover what the requirements are and fulfilling those requirements subsequently. Thank you. Subsequently. Arigato. They're not fulfilling those requirements subsequently, and they're not being honest with themselves about the discipline and the rigor that they need to apply to their lives to achieve their goals. So I think a big difference between the people I went to school with is one, being bilingual. I work a lot in French, frankly. I went to school at Dawson. I went to school in English, and I work in French most of it. Most of my career is a French francophone career. And so the whole thing that's going on with the Legault government, and it's been going on for years with the English and the French, for me, it's BS. I'm not involved. I don't want to talk about it. As long as the conversation is not how do we bridge the gap and get people to stop thinking in such a backwards fashion, I'm not interested. In the sense where it is a superpower to be bilingual. There is nothing, like, just logically speaking, as many places you can speak languages, the better you are. Where you can communicate, you can be strong, you can be powerful, you can have agency. Where you cannot, you are silent, you have no voice. So, to come back to how I see my business, I consider myself a business, and so that includes that I have to be physically in a shape that is, better than average. I have to keep my voice in a better than average shape if I have to do a contract where I need to sing. I'm involved in all the different industries that are included in acting. So I do voice work, I do video games, dubbing, TV, movies, theater, anything you can think of, radio, I do it all. Talk shows, I'm there. So because I want to be included in all these things, because I believe all those revenue streams are going to get me to my final destination, which is financial sovereignty and heaven on earth for my family, I consider myself a business, and I treat it with extreme rigor. So I think that mindset really helped me stay disciplined, stay perseverant. Where people are going out on Friday, I'm at home either learning text or resting, or spending time with myself. I was never a big going out person. I was never a big drinker. I didn't have that in me because I had really serious objectives. I had a business, and I was the CEO of that business. I was like my own employee. I had somebody that I was coming back to go at. J'ai des comptes à rendre in that sense. So, yeah, I think the perspective of as a business, you have to understand, again, the requirements. You do like a market study. My mom and I had a conversation like that in my youth where it was like, this is Quebec, they don't have a lot of black artists, right? And a lot of the black artists that are here are like on the outs, they're on their way out. So there's going to be a need for fresh blood. And so the strategy was, why not me? Why can't I go and fulfill that pocket in the market that's going to be created? And so that's exactly what we did. I went to school to sharpen my skills, and then, I had first year was like incredible. The first time in Montreal at school, 8,000 students. It was like, whoa, best year of my life. Mm-hmm. Second year was very difficult. I almost quit the program. I went through a solid depression. I was far away from my family. I was very sad, I was very lonely, and I almost quit. And then I got through that year, and the third year now is the last year of Parachute. This is the proof of concept year. And so I treated that year, because it's a safety net being in school. I treated that year like, how do I acquire the skills that I see in the industry that I may lack? In the sense where, in my industry, you need to be able to cry on command sometimes. And I was not able to do that. Emotionally, I wasn't there. So I developed those skills throughout that year. You need to be psychologically sound. I've been in therapy for 2 years now, every single week. I'm not crazy, but it's an indispensable help for me. It's changed my life entirely. It puts me in a much more poised fashion. I have a better relationship to myself, to others, and it helps me in my work, because then I can shift myself to be whoever I need to be the chameleon I need to be, so that I win always, because my industry is king of the hill, right? 300 people show up, one person wins. You have to have a killer's mindset, or you're gonna fall through the cracks. So yeah, I think that's kind of the gist of the whole business aspect of things. I never considered myself to be an artiste, and I won't do that because this, that, and the third. We went about it like, you do the grunt work, like when you work in a restaurant, you work as a busboy. So I did a lot of the extra work, I did a lot of the just being there at certain functions. I did a lot of, treating my brand creating. How do I dress when I show up in functions? How do I interact with people? What is my brand really doing? All of that sort of internal marketing. And so I think that those were things, even in the ways that I made self-tapes, which is like an audition that you make at home. I would be creative. I would put music. I would edit them. I'd make them into small movies, and that's how I got the Tales from the Hood film with Spike Lee produced. Just being bold, being innovative in the industry, and I think that perspective of like being a business and looking at the whole thing and deep diving into it and trying to change things in an innovative fashion was very, very, very lucrative and helpful for me. Have you thought about the question?
Yeah.
Do you have something you'd like to say?
No, I couldn't think of it.
No? Okay.
No.
How about you, young lady? No.
I think also too, I think what we saw with the coloring things, that sometimes there might be a need for like a one-on-one connection, and when we have lunch and when we're all sitting together, that you'd still have an opportunity to ask that question without all of us sort of peering in and seeing. So
That's fair.
yeah. So good. So you'd be. Okay.
And thank you for that lovely talk. And everything that you say sounds very disciplined. And we're working with young people who, like we were saying earlier, when it's raining outside, it's hard to get them to come out to
Of course.
right? So but I think my question is like, what do you do for fun? What do you do to relax? What is your wellness strategy when a lot of this very disciplined life of being an actor kind of gets to you? I know you mentioned therapy, but what other kinds of strategies? For me in the classroom, it's very important that a wellness strategy is built into what I'm doing in the classroom, that
I
students
love that.
know you have a couple of weeks that you can just be off, no questions asked, all of that. So
Yeah.
how do you approach wellness?
Well, you know, I'm a normal person, so I have my vices, of course. You know what I mean?
It didn't sound like it.
Nah. Well, of course, you didn't ask me to come talk about no vices. So it's gonna sound very nice. But no, I guess, you know, like there's certain things that people do to take the edge off. You know, I may indulge in some marijuana every once in a while. I don't think, you know what I'm saying? I don't think that's the worst thing you can do in the world. I play a lot of sports. I do a lot of sports, basketball. I do a lot of swimming. Again, therapy. I have a chiro now, you know. But again, these are all things that I can afford. These are all things that I'm blessed to be able to have. They're not easy of access a lot of the time. So I don't usually bring those to the forefront because it's not the same always, right, for everybody. I think things that are more simple for me is just spending time with some of my closest friends. You know, I've always been a very loyal, very like tight-knit person. I'm very like personable. I like to make new friends, but we're not gonna be hanging out every week. You know what I'm saying? It's like me and my close friends are the people that I'm really solid with. So those are moments for me that really help me take the edge off. I'm fortunate I have a friend who has a cottage. We F off. We just get out of town. Even if it's for a day, you know, we get out of town. We go be in the forest. I think the forest is very important for me. Nature is incredibly important. Very, very, just being out of town is whoa, you know, for me. And I'll take, you know, even if I have just the afternoon, just the day, I'll do that. TV is great. Sometimes I watch my own material. Sometimes I watch stuff and I see my friends. Sometimes I just watch nonsense. You know what I mean? You need to take the edge off. I was watching another video last week about a guy who was talking about some of the most successful people he knows. He says some of those people, they indulge in something outside of their industry in a very intense fashion. They need that balance, whether it be sports, whether it be racing cars, they need it. They go out there. I love fashion. I indulge in a lot of fashion. I love, you know, I don't shy away from it. Yeah, you know, no, but
We're talking about that because Kenya has, of course, immigrant parents who want her to be a lawyer, but she also loves fashion.
There you go. No, you can do both, girl. You can do anything. Honestly, you know, I have a lawyer friend of mine. She loves to dress. She shows up at she's my age, 26, years younger than me. She shows up at her cabinet. She dresses nice. She does the thing. It doesn't matter. Like, she does it for herself. So yeah, I think, you know, I love cars. I love jewelry. I love, you know, just some very superficial crap. So I indulge, you know. I think that we spend a lot of time talking about consumerism and trying to guilt ourselves for being a product of the world that we were given. But none of that, I think, is consequential in the end. It really just takes away from the energy that you could be spending enjoying yourself. You know, you get the one life, you know, and I didn't choose this. This is the world they gave me, which includes, you know, nice clothes and jewelry and whatever it might be. And so I permit myself to enjoy those things, but they're connected to something where I genuinely love them. I don't do them for anybody but myself. So yeah, short answer is just I allow myself to indulge in the things that I have genuine interests in, and I don't shy away from that. You know, just balance, really.
Thanks.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for your question. Well, have I done 30? Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
So it was a great morning, and I think we got to know each other a bit better and experience each other all together. So we're going to have lunch. We can do that a bit more. If you have questions for any of our speakers, any of our guests, you can also speak to them at lunchtime. And then in the afternoon, we have a whole other program for you to...
Yeah, your twins.
Yes.
And Step Montreal Steppers are going to be here.
There's a whole set of entertainment and also interactions with regards to careers path. So all of that's in the afternoon, but for now, please enjoy your lunch.